Hey everybody, it's me, Stacey, licensed designer for Sizzix Jacquard, Couture Creations, and art ambassador for Royal Talons, and welcome to today's In the Studio with Stacey. Now, an In the Studio class is a full-length technique-based class where we take products from our beloved paper crafting world, we take products from the fine art world, and we pair them together, and I get to share with you how it can absolutely elevate your hobby, your creations, and you might not have even heard of some of these products from the fine art world. It's really about blending those two worlds, fine art and paper crafting, together and making magic happen where you didn't even know it could exist. In the Studio with Stacey classes are a series of classes. So every month I pick one type of fine art medium, one type of fine art product, and every Tuesday I show you a different way to use them with different surfaces or different textures or different mediums mixed on in. We started back in January where we did eco-line markers, and then every month since then, for the entire month, we focus on just one product. For June, it's gouache. You're like, gouache? What's gouache? Well, it's something that is, as I learn about this, it is so incredible. I keep saying this, I wish I would have known about some of these products earlier in my crafty journey. I had no idea. But as an art ambassador with Royal Talons, I take classes. I'm mentored by Jeff, who is an amazing, amazing fine artist, a professor. He teaches all over the world. It's incredible. He shares his knowledge with me. Then I get to take that knowledge and use it in a way that maybe isn't exactly what it was intended for, because these are more fine art product, but pairing it into our paper crafting product is just a wow. The first Tuesday of every month is always an overview of the product. So I try to give you a lot of information about it, the history behind the product, where it came from, why it happened, and through the decades, through the centuries, how some of the product has changed dramatically, while some of the product is made exactly the same way it was back in the 17th and 18th century. I know. Today, gouache, it is an opaque watercolor, which means that the opacity of it is more solid. We love playing with watercolors because we're looking for that transparency and that luminosity that you get with a watercolor. As you lay down a color, let it dry, lay down a color, let it dry, and that layering of color builds. Gouache is a sister to watercolor. So it is a watercolor, but it's opaque. And the way it is made opaque is how the process evolves by not having the pigment particles in the gouache as teeny tiny pinpoint, as small as they would be perhaps in a watercolor. By having those particles bigger and fatter and chunkier, it allows them to be more opaque. Now, class 1 was all about an overview. So the first Tuesday of the month, and a complete overview of gouache. And then last week, we actually started to play with it. And I did it on black paper, not watercolor paper, just black cardstock. Today, I'm going to be playing with vellum, different weights of vellum. And you're like, watercolor and vellum, that does not mix. Vellum does not like water. It doesn't want to have anything to do with any kind of medium that is wet, except for, well, gouache works beautifully on it, absolutely beautifully, because we don't add lots of water to gouache. We don't add any water. Sometimes the only water we add is maybe for our paintbrush if we want to get it a little bit damp. And you're like, well, why wouldn't you add water if it's a watercolor? Well, gouache's properties are to stay opaque. That's the idea, to keep it opaque or very little water just to make it move. as opposed to taking a watercolor like we've done before with Van Gogh watercolors. And the way to make those opaque was to be adding white, that white watercolor to it. This makes it so much easier and so much more simple to have the gouache because it's already been done for you. And it wasn't necessarily by adding another color to it. Again, it was by making those particles really, really big so that when they're all together, it makes that opaque just stunning. It really is stunning. So I'm going to play with them today, and I'm going to be using the different qualities of vellum. I'm going to use something super thin, super light, and then I'm going to use something super heavy. We've got vellums in various different weights, but I want you to see that no matter what weight you choose, the gouache is going to love it. Now, how do you say gouache? I say squash gouache. That's how I remember it, squash gouache. Gouache is how some people remember it, but it's an inexpensive fine art tool that if all you use it for is working with vellum, it has well paid for itself. How many of us have vellum in our stash just sitting there because we can't figure out how to use it or how to color it? Alcohol inks, you can alcohol markers, you can absolutely go in there. Pastels you can use with vellum, but this is something special. And what's remarkable to me is that quite often in the fine art world, their products are a higher level, a quality standard, because of course Royal Talons is a fine art company, and what they make needs to be of a quality standard, a certain standard, a fine art standard, and that quality must be consistent from years ago all the way from 1899. I think 1899 is when they came into existence, Royal Talons, and then it was just Talons. The Royal came when they were given that designation by the Queen. So I mean, and that tells you something right there. So it's all about that fine art product that you would think would cost more, and yet it doesn't, even though it has that fine art designation to it. Because of course, an artist, a student artist, if they pick up a color of gouache or a color of Van Gogh watercolor or Amsterdam acrylic, this color has to be the same today as it will be 10 years from now if they go to buy it. That quality standard, that level of commitment to that standard must stay true for fine art companies, or artists cannot use their products. So I am going to be working again with vellum today, and I think you're going to really like what I do because I think you're going to see a different way of using vellum that you may already have in your crafty stash. I'm going to be playing with stencils today. I even have a little piece of white glitter paper. We'll try. I haven't tried it yet. We're going to do it together and see what happens. My classes are unscripted. They are unedited. There's no voiceover or dubbing. So what happens here happens here. And what I do, well, sometimes it's an oops and sometimes it's a holy smokes artichokes. So we don't wash away anything that didn't go right and only keep the great parts. No, we do this together because this is a teachable moment class. And sometimes the teachable moment is as much for me as it is for you. So I'm going to show you the gouache. We do have it for sale. We have the gouache for sale. I'll have the vellum for sale. But if you have a local independent art store, I recommend you go visit them and say, hey, I just learned a little bit about gouache. Can you tell me about, a little more about it? Let them know you need the student grade gouache. There is a higher grade. There is an expert grade without question. But I don't think that that's necessary. I think that the student grade gouache is excellent and you will be very, very happy with it. Remember, gouache, it's a sister to watercolor, which means that it's water soluble and it will move with water. Every time you add water to the gouache, you're watering it down to the point of almost being a basic watercolor, and you don't want to do that. Less water is better. So let me tilt on down. Let me show you the gouache that we've got. I've got 2 packs for you. My recommendation is if you can if you can, get the 24 pack. All the fun colors are in the 24 pack. It really is. And how expensive is it? I want to say it retails for $28.95 and it's on sale for I think $22 or $23.99. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. So there's 24 colors, but I also do have the 12 pack just in case. And then the stencils we'll be using and the paper we'll be using, we'll put on sale for you. Okay, so I'm using stencils today from Pronte. These are out of the Netherlands, and you can see I've been using these stencils. Since I'm using these stencils, the shipping time for this will be just a little bit longer than next day because these haven't quite come in yet. I've got some of them, but not all of them. But I love them and I wanted to show them to you. We're also going to be using everything from a Sizzix vellum. We've got the paper, so we've got Paper Favorites, which is that super, super, super heavyweight vellum. I mean, like heavy, heavy, heavy weight. We only have so much of this left. It's coming back in at the end of July, but what we have left we'll put on sale for you. I have got the Sizzix vellum, which is paper thin. I mean, it is paper thin. They don't even call it a vellum. They call it a stencil film. I'm not sure about that, but it's vellum. And then we also have for you the graphics vellum, which again, it's a little bit, it's thinner. It's not as thin as the Sizzix, but it's nowhere near as heavyweight. So we're gonna play with these three today. And I think the first thing I wanna do is maybe just show you that vellum and anything liquid, not a happy camper. So here's the graphics vellum. Here's the Sizzix vellum. Yeah, there's definitely a weight difference between the Sizzix. There's not a huge weight difference, but there is definitely one. And a little bit of my heavy weight. So now I've got 3 different weights of vellum going on here. I think I'll put these here for right now. And if I take a little bit of water to them. So the heavyweight, it's not curling as much. It will eventually start to curl, but you can see the lighter weights almost instantaneously are curled into scrolls. Vellum is not happy. It's not happy with any kind of liquid. So the more liquid, the more wet you get it, the more it will start to curl. The heavy weight is obviously going to take more liquid to make it curl, but it will curl. So you can't go in there and watercolor with these. It's not possible. You're going to end up with perfect scrolls. If you're doing an invitation for like a pirate party or something, do it on the vellum and then wet them and let them go into scrolls. Absolutely. But for general purpose, we don't get vellum wet. So I'm going to bring over my stencil and stamp tool from Sizzix, and I'm going to be using it as the stencil tool today. You can also use it as a stamp positioner. It's beautifully sized. It's an A4 in size, and what is down is sticky grid, and that sticky grid is what keeps the paper or the vellum in its place. Let's use some of the, well, we'll start with the Sizzix vellum because that's the lightest weight, and we'll work our way up. Super lightweight vellum. Most people would use this as a background or a backdrop and mat something on top of it. Gosh, I don't know if you could certainly stamp on it with a Wow embossing medium and then do a heat embossing, but really light. And the lighter it is, the more finicky and picky it is. So what's down on the stencil and stamp tool right here is a piece of sticky grid. You get a piece of it with your tool, and it stays sticky for a really, really long time. What it does is it holds your paper in place. Bam, just hold your paper in place, and when it's time to pull it up, pulls it up without any issue. There will come a point where you'll have to replace this, absolutely. And why would you have to replace it? Well, at some point you've put your hands on it and the oils from your hands have made it non-sticky. You've used embossing powder maybe and have got embossing powder or glitter all over it. Anything that would make a sticker not stick anymore, you want to avoid here, because this is just a really huge big post-it note. And it does last for a really long time. You can see I've got ink on mine. That does not bother it at all. It's more the glitter and the embossing powder and the oils from your hand. Now this little tool here is the alignment tool, and it works with the little hinge here, what holds in your lid if you were using it as a stamp positioner. This lets you move your stencil anywhere you want. Anywhere you want, up, down. You can be doing a 12 by 12 page. The nice thing about the Sizzix tool is that there's no lip on any of the three sides. So I know that that's not standard for some of the other positioners out there. So this means you can use any size paper you want because there's no lip to stop it from moving. And doing continuous stencils is very, very simple. So Sizzix stencils have two little holes in them, and those two little holes in the stencils coordinate with the two little nibs on the end of my stencil alignment tool. I'm using Bronte stencils. There is no little holes in my stencils. So no little holes in my stencils. Sizzix sells converters. This is a converter strip. You get 10 per pack. And you can then take any stencil you want and make it into a stencil that will work with the stencil and stamp tool. They're reusable. I could have my stencil go this way, but I also have the opportunity of having my stencil go this way by just moving my converter. Now my stencil is facing me. It's entirely up to you how you want to place it. And sometimes with a stencil, the most convenient place to put it isn't on an edge. It might be going across the top and putting it in this way. As long as you've got that stencil somewhere where your paper can hit it, you're going to be just fine. Now there's a little piece of adhesive on the back. That's how it comes, with a little piece of adhesive. At some point that adhesive, well, you can already see mine's getting wet and dirty. At some point that's not going to stick anymore, just like any kind of adhesive where you keep adding water or your embossing powder or glitter. Just take, when it stops being adhesive anymore, just take a little piece of Stacey tape, go right over the top of it, peel it up. Now I've added a fresh new piece of adhesive. So it's going to stick without any problem. And you can take them on and off and use them again and again. The converters you never throw away. And then I push it down into, and now it's down. Why do I want to do that? What's the benefit of that? Well, I'm going to be able to pull my stencil up to see what I've done, and then I put it right back down and I'm able to continue. So there is no tape, no magnets, nothing there. You can lift it up, see what you've done, and put it back down. So I'm going to play with the gouache, and I've got my palette over here. This is my throwaway palette. You get 20 sheets. And it will take you a really long time to go through 20 sheets because you can wipe up what you've done and use the sheet again and again and again. I'm on sheet number 3 and I've had this for about 3 months. That's my kind of palette. So let's see if I can back up just a little bit and maybe move this over just a little bit just so I have it so you can see. I am also going to be using the Sizzix blending tools. So we've got the Sizzix blending tools and they come on and off, and the foam pieces come on and off, and they're just a convenient way to go in and stencil. I'm not going to be using a paintbrush. You can use any kind of dauber that you have. You go for it. Anything that makes your heart happy. Now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start with some browns. And I'm going to put my gouache down, and it dries very quickly. So I'm going to come in here and get some on, and then I'm just going to come in and with zero expectation, I'm just going to add some of my browns all over. Now I'm not trying to get it solid. I'm not trying to make sure I've hit every single area. I'm just trying to add a little bit of a base color. See, and just like that, I can then lift it up, see what I've done, and put it back down. And as long as I put it back down in the same position, I can continue to stencil. If I accidentally put it here, well, my stencil is not lining up. You can see my stencil isn't lining up. And if I moved it over here, my stencil isn't lining up. But if I come back to my starting point, my stencil lines up and I can continue to do another color. I can see what I've done. Now I'm going to go in with a little bit darker brown. I'm not going to change my pad. I'm going to go in with a little bit of darker brown. And can you wash your pads out? Absolutely. Gouache is a sister to watercolor. So it is opaque watercolor. And the way it is made opaque is by the particles that make up, the pigment that makes up the color are larger than those in a ground down watercolor. So you're getting the benefit of the watercolor, but the opacity of something that is more opaque. Oh, that sounded so good, like I knew what I was saying. I have come such a long way since starting these classes, let me tell you. I can't hold my own with a fine artist, you know, talking about product. No, I mean, we use it in such a different way than most do that when I talk to Jeff or to Mary at Royal Talons, they're like, can you, or I'll ask, can you use it doing this? And they're like, we don't know. We've never done it. So now I've got a little bit more color on it. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to go a little bit lighter color. Do the colors blend? Yes, the colors blend. If you go back and watch last week's class, I did it on black paper with 2 beautiful stencils and blended that color in. So now I'm going to put a little bit of this over the top. So it's not acrylic. Not acrylic. It's nothing like acrylic. There's no plasticizer in here at all. No plastics. And it dries crazy fast, and you're not using water. So your vellum is saying, hey, I feel it's wet, but it's not watery wet. All right, so right now I'm making what looks like a hot mess. I like my hot mess, but we're gonna now bam it up a little bit. So maybe I take a little bit of one of my blues. And let's throw a little bit of blue down. on my palette. A little bit of blue down on my palette, and put a little bit of blue on my brush, my foamy. And let's just go in and hit. And again, I'm not trying to be perfect or precise. I'm just going for it. And I'm not on white paper or watercolor paper or paper at all. I'm on vellum. And I'm on the Sizzix vellum, which is the lightest weight vellum out of all of them. All right, I did that. Maybe I'll add a little teal to it. And again, I'm not going to change my pad. My teal, my blues, it's all going to work within the same pad. Now you can see that I'm putting my fingers on my stencil. My alignment tool is to align my stencil. It's not to hold my stencil in place. I still need to put my fingers on it. All right, and now I think I'm going to come in with maybe a little bit of green. So I'm going to change I just grabbed another one of my Sizzix blending tools. A little bit of green. Or maybe we should start with a little darker green. What about a little bit of darker green first and then the lime green? So you can layer and layer and layer. A little bit darker green, and then over the top with the lime, and then maybe we'll be done. So you want to put less down on your palette because you can always add more. If you put too much down on your palette, can you rework the color? Yes. If I were to let this dry, I could come back in, add a little bit of water, and rework the color. But it's always best to just put a little bit less than you need. It's easy to add a little more if you need it. Okay, now let's go in with that limey green. And you can see I'm not being finicky about where I'm putting it. I'm not being picky. I'm just going for it. And I think the last I'm going to do is go back to my brown and just put a little bit more of my light on top. And I'm just going to blend that into the blue and a little bit into the green. All right, are we ready to see what we have? Because we have a hot mess here. But when I pull it up, what we have is something absolutely stunning. And it's on vellum. So when I lift it, you would expect the vellum to curl. But because of the gouache and the way it's made. Done. And you saw how many different coats, how many different levels I added to it. A piece of white. The colors are rich. They're majestic. Look at that on vellum. Okay, let's do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Only this time, let's pick up the graphics vellum, which is a little bit heavier than the Sizzix. And I'm not going to clean my stencil, but I am going to change my colors. So the stencil, now, mind you, this is dry. It was dry when I picked it up. There's no waiting for it to dry, which is why it does not do this like our others did. Doesn't do this like our others did, because the moisture level in it is so low, it just dries right on that vellum beautifully. So I'm not gonna change I'm not gonna clean this. I could wipe this off with a baby wipe and all of this would come off, because again, it is a sister to a watercolor. So it is a watercolor, it's opaque, as opposed to a standard watercolor that has that transparency and that luminosity. So I think I'm gonna start with a yellow. My lid back on. And let's pull in a yellow. And I'm just gonna keep working from my palette. A yellow. Go in there. And I'm just going to kind of do a wash, rinse, and repeat. Kind of get it all over. No rhyme, no reason. Just going for it. And then I might use an orange. And I'm just going to use my yellow pad from my orange. Oh, I just took actually I made an orange pad, but we'll use that for our red too then. Now you don't have to do it splotchy like I am. You could go in here and do the colors and just come in and add beautiful color all the way around. I kind of like the abstract willy-nilliness of just playing, where there's no expectation. You never get the same thing twice. They're all beautiful. And it does make you feel like an artist. It really does. You lift it up and you're like, holy smokes, artichokes, did I just do that? And the answer is yes. Yes, you did. Okay, so I got some orange going on. I can lift it up and see what I've got. Put it back down, keep going. Let's take in some pink maybe. I'm going to use my orange for my pink. And I'm just doing hit or miss. And maybe a little purple. I think I'll use my blue for my purple, even though it's blue. I'm just gonna go for it. Oh, got a hair in there. And then come back with a little bit of my lime green. Like, how many layers are you gonna go? As many as it makes my heart happy. The vellum can take the gouache. The vellum can stand up to all the layers of gouache. And then just for good measure, I'll come back with my yellow one more time and just add a little bit more. Okay. Hot Mess City. But look at how pretty the colors are once you take off. They're bright and they're fun and they're bold and they're happy. Pull it up. Well, it's dry. That's why my vellum isn't moving. All right, let's try another one. And then I haven't used this stencil yet. Let's see what we can do with this one. So I'm gonna pop this one off for right now. And I'm going to add my converter to it. Remembering that you get 10 of these. It actually looks like the best place for it may be right there. I'm looking at what gives me the most border available. And if I want to move it, I can. Maybe right there. And we'll bring over our graphics vellum again, just because it's handy. And put down my alignment tool. And this time I might move it down just a little bit so it's more centered to me. Put my paper underneath it. Oh, my paper's not wide enough. Is this one a little wider? I didn't cut my paper even. Okay, and let's see what we get. So I think I'm going to come in primarily with green to start. And anywhere I can see branches, I'm pretty much just doing the whole thing in some green. I'm not caring that I'm getting into my flowers at all. Okay. All right, looks like I've got it pretty good. So I just kind of went over where I think I saw what looks like leaves or branches, even though I went into my flowers. So if I lift it up, oh, that's pretty, just like that. Oh my gosh. That would work as a background just like that, only this way. Wow. Just like that. But we need to finish. So as long as I remember where I aligned it over here, and if you forget, you just move it until it lines up and it's like, oh yeah, that's the place. Now let's come back and do some of my flowers. And I'm gonna do my flowers in my blues. I think my blues. And I'm just going to come in, and everywhere I think I see a flower, I'm just going to hit it with a little bit of my blue. All right, I think I've got some blue on most of my flowers. Got a little blue in my green. All right. It's getting there. If I think I need a little bit more blue, I add a little bit more blue. You could never do this with a standard watercolor. It would just be too wet. And I'm not caring about my green. Now I think I might take a little bit of my, do I want to do a little white? Do I want to do a little pink? Add a little pink to my flowers, maybe. And I can just layer and layer until I'm happy. In fact, I think I'll add a little yellow. So I've got a little pink happening, a little pink action going, a little yellow action going. Oh, I missed a whole flower there. I have no idea what it's going to look like. Oh, I missed a whole flower there. And then maybe I come back with a little bit of my lime. Oh, no, maybe we do a little bit of my brown. Just where some of the little branches are. And I'm guessing, I can't actually tell where some of this is. I just hope I'm guessing right. And then a little bit of my light green, my lime. Just to give some of my leaves. And again, I don't know if I've got it right, if I've got it wrong, and I'm just going to go for it. All we can do is see, and if I don't like it, I can put it back on and try again. Oh, but I do like it. I do. Okay, we took this hot mess where the colors are just overlapping and all on top of each other. We took this hot mess and look at what we made. This is so pretty. This is so pretty. And if there's anywhere I want to add more color, I just come back in. Like I've got this solid blue one up here. Do I want to add more? Do I want to add something to my green one down here? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe a little bit of brown to this area over here where that branch is. And then maybe a little bit of my lime green on top of that. And the thing about it is it's dry. There's no long wait time. And that's what allows, gosh, these are pretty. That's what allows for you to work on the vellum. That's gouache. And it's just that easy. And it's dry. They're lovely, aren't they? They are, they're lovely. I love each and every one of them. But let's do something with the heavyweight, because I haven't done anything with the heavyweight yet. So let's pull this off to the side. And let's do these two, and let me grab, ooh, maybe we should try. Maybe we should try on the glitter paper. So this is Studio Light. It's not glitter glitter, it's like a rock candy glitter. It doesn't have this strong iridescence to it. It's just really a pretty background. And which one do I want to do? Put my converter on. I've got this glitter without glitter paper on it. It's not an iridescent glitter. It's like a rock candy glitter. It's very smooth. And I think I'm gonna try and do this one and see what I get. So I'm gonna start with my green. And I'm almost just gonna come in and do the whole thing because I wanna make sure I get all of those little leaves. And I'm not trying to be 100% solid because I'm gonna add more layers on top. And then maybe I work into my yellow. And I just blend that right on top of the green. I think vellum is one of the first things people might buy because it's just so pretty, but it's also one of the trickier things to use. So now I've got my yellow, maybe I go into some red. And then maybe a little bit of brown where my little branches are. Not a lot, just a little brown for some depth. And I don't care if it gets into some of my leaves. And then maybe just a little bit of my yellow again. And then a little bit of my lime. I always like the lime. Oh, I could have used that more. Okay, we have to do this again. You're like, we do? Yes, I have a different green. I could have used a more olivey green. Okay, let's see what we get. That's where we're at. Lift up. And that's where we finished. And all I did was dab. But because the gouache dries so fast and so quick, look at that, on this pretty glittery paper. Okay, let's do the other one, because I have to do it again. Will this one fit? Because I have an olive green. So we'll put it right back down. That looks like it's gonna fit, and instead of using that leaf green, I'm gonna use some olive green. Ooh, look at how pretty is that. Now these stencils are by Pronti. They're coming out of the Netherlands. They're on their way, but they're not all here yet. Okay, and I always do my yellow because I'm a yellow girl. So I always go to a yellow somewhere, somehow. It just adds a nice base, and then I can build off that base. Now I could look if I wanted to, but what fun would that be? Okay, and now what do we want to do? Maybe some orange? maybe just a little dab of pink. And a little dab of my yellow. And again, I'm on that glitter paper. So imagine all the specialty papers that you have that you can now stencil right on top of and have it dry almost immediately. And then, because it's me, a little bit of brown. Just every now and then, just to create some depth. And then I always like that lime green over the top to create some highlight. And we are taking fine art medium and using it to our advantage in paper crafting. I don't know what it's going to look like. Oh. I don't mind that at all. I'm not mad at it. I am not mad at it. And all I did was dab, dab, dab. Dab, dab, dab. And they're beautiful and they're ready to be matted and go because you're on this glitter without glitter paper. What do we think? Gosh, the only one I haven't done is the really heavyweight. I haven't done the really heavyweight, and I need to so you can see it. And I think I'll just go back to my beginning just to keep it simple. So if the only reason you ever get gouache is because you have vellum or you like playing with vellum, it's worth it. It's worth the $23. If you can get the larger set, that's where the fun colors are. And of course, we've used it on more than vellum, and next week we'll be using it on something completely different again. Next week we go completely different. Again, every week on Tuesday, it's a new class. So I'm on heavyweight vellum. I'm on the Paper Favorites vellum, which is the thickest vellum that you can get your hands on. It's like a heavy parchment, really heavy. It's beautiful vellum. We are almost sold out of it, but I've got more coming in July, I believe. I'm just going to knock this one out. And then we'll do some red. I haven't cleaned this stencil yet. And then maybe some orange thrown in there. And I'm just using the same pad, the red, the orange, the pink, all on the same pad. And then maybe we add some blue. And maybe just a little bit lighter of a blue. And then maybe a hint of green. You're like, are you going to throw every color under the rainbow? Yes! I like every color. I want to use every color in the crayon box. I'm not afraid of color because all I've used is a piece of vellum. And if I really don't like something, I just go over the top of it. And then my very last, I'm going to go back with a little bit more yellow. And I am on super heavyweight vellum. And this leaves a texture. It actually has a feel to it. Gouache has this amazing textural aspect when you touch it. All right, so I wanted to get it done. Looks like a little bit of a hot mess until we lift. And let's see what we've got. Oh, see, pretty. Pretty, I like it with the blue. And this is my heavyweight vellum. And it should be almost dry. The yellow's still tacky, but should be almost dry. So whether we do the heavyweight, we do the incredibly lightweight, we do medium weight, well, we did lightweight, medium weight, medium weight. Look at how pretty is that. Glitter paper. You have options. And gouache is easy to use. It's forgiving. Yeah, we're dry. It's forgiving, and if I didn't like anything, I just go right over the top of it. But I think that these are all absolutely gorgeous. Yay. All right, you guys. So week 3 of gouache. Stunning, affordable, effective, easy, no fuss, no muss, no waiting time. Oh, that one's really pretty. Oh, these are so lovely. They're gonna have a good time making some samples with these. No fuss, no muss. And when it comes time to clean your stencil, just get some warm water or a couple baby wipes. and you just go in and clean it off. Or you don't. I know people who never clean their stencils. They just go, go, go. So you just go in there and start cleaning it off. Soak it in warm water if you would prefer. It's up to you. But the gouache, being that it's water soluble because it's a sister to watercolor, we'll just wipe right off. Okay, you guys, what did you think about this week on gouache? Vellum. Who knew, right? Who knew? So we have the 24 pack, which is where all the fun colors are. Retails for $28.95, and we have it on sale for, I can't remember if it's $22.99 or $23.99. We do have the 12 pack. That is less money. Great place to start if that's where you need to start. If, again, the only reason you buy gouache is because you want to decorate, you want to color in your vellum, I would go for it, absolutely. The 3 stencils we used today, again, these will not ship tomorrow. Those won't start shipping right away because I have to wait for those stencils to get here. The tear off palette, the Sizzix tool, all of it will be on sale for you. And if you have a local fine art store, go say hello. All right, who knew, right? Gouache. Think of everything you've ever wanted to color, and will it work? Acetate, yes. I mean, there's just a ton of stuff that gouache will work on, and it blends. And if you want to dilute it with a little bit of water to make it a little bit more transparent, you can, but that's not what it's really intended for. Leave it the way it is and let that magic explode. So it is me, Stacey, here with week 3 of our In the Studio with Stacey class for June. We are working with gouache, which is an opaque watercolor. It does not have an opacifier built into it to make it opaque. It is the particle size, the particle size of the pigment that allows it to be opaque, giving you that rich, bold, non-diluted color that dries like that and looks fabulous. So I will see you next week for week 4 of gouache, where we're gonna do something completely different with it again, so that each week there's a new technique, a new way of using it, a new understanding of it, so you can say, oh, I have to have this now. I absolutely have to have it. Or it's like, no, I don't think I need this. I leave it up to you. But now you have a better understanding of what it is. So if there comes a time where you want to do something and you're like, but how? Oh, remember Stacey mentioned gouache would do this. Yes, you put it in your knowledge bank and you draw off of it as you create. So I am Stacey. I am a licensed designer for Sizzix, Jacquard, Couture Creations, and an art ambassador for Royal Talents, along with being the owner of Scrapbooking Made Simple, scrapbookingmadesimple.com. Until next week, everybody, I will see you. And the next time I see you on YouTube is Thursday for our next New For You event, where we bring you the latest and greatest from your most favorite manufacturers, all value priced from the get-go. So until then, everybody, bye.